Some of them are commenting to us. In fact, let's go to that real quick. Oh, it looks like we've got somebody coming in now. Aren't these the same people? I'm not sure what somebody's doing there on the board, but all right, I think we're back now. Okay, let's go to Roble. He says, it's nice. One thing is that if the CEOs misled the shareholders, they should be accountable. But other than that, those CEOs got the position because of hard work and determination. And now let's go to the one under it. Let's go to the one that says Rick Young on it. He says, the arrogance of those people is amazing. They spend as much in a week, and many of them earn in a year, as many of us earn in a year, and it doesn't bother them a bit. That's interesting. Well, who are these people that make that much money? You're about to meet one right here. This is an interesting story. This is the story of Jordan Belfort, as told by Abby Boudreau. Here it is.
I party like a rock star, and I live like a king, and I live to tell about it, barely.
He calls himself the Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort, a self-proclaimed master of the universe, living what he calls the life.
Wall Street's all about the money. Servants at your houses, parties where there's Dom Perignon flowing, helicopters landing on the helipad, pigs roasting on a spit outside with, a live band playing reggae music on the beach, dancing girls, jugglers, clowns, the whole entire thing, the life.
Jordan Belfort, this is your life.
A lifestyle hard to imagine for most. This is home video taken during one of Belfort's lavish vacations. A getaway on his 167-foot yacht.
This is where everything happens.
Named after his wife, Nadine, a former beer commercial model.
I started going hog wild. So for me, I started just, it was like Monopoly money. It's like anything you want, you can buy.
He says he paid $2.5 million for an estate on Long Island and $5.5 million for a mansion in the Hamptons.
What a great life, huh?
His net worth rose to $100 million. That was in the 90s when he was one of the kings of Wall Street, becoming chairman of a brokerage firm called Stratton Oakmont in Long Island, making, he says, $1 million a week. He says he lived his life as if he were a character in a movie. Even in private, he played the role of his most envied characters, not wanting to disappoint what he calls his invisible audience.
Read worse.
Identifying with Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street.
He's just so super cool and super smooth and just on top of it and just, nobody's fool and the ultimate shark.
$100,000.
Sort of like every, average kid from, the street's dream is to be a Gordon Gekko.
Impressed?
Admiring and emulating the character Richard Gere played in Pretty Woman.
How come we rented the penthouse?
It's the best.
You can't count to 74, Marino.
And then there was the character Sonny Crockett from the television series Miami Vice, who epitomized the life in the 1980s.
When I first started making money, I went out and bought a white Ferrari Testarossa. You know why? Because it was the car that Don Johnson drove in Miami Vice.
Jordan Belfort grew up just outside of New York in a middle-class family. He had dreams of making big money, so where better to start than Wall Street? He says his first day as a stockbroker was the same day as the 1987 stock market crash. He eventually oversaw a place that sounded more like a fraternity than a brokerage firm.
The acts like it was like ancient Rome, where you're like, this was like the Colosseum, and acts of depravity. There was midget tossing. People's heads were being shaved. Goldfish were being eaten live. People were hooking themselves up to car batteries. It was almost like adult Disneyland for dysfunctional people.
In fact, he says he was addicted to cocaine and Quaaludes and abused about 20 other prescription drugs. All present, he says, at parties like this one. This is video from one of Stratton's infamous bashes in the Hamptons.
It'll be a legend on Wall Street, guys, and that's our goal. All right? That's it.
But eventually, Jordan Belfort's party would be over. So this is all you have left of your former life?
And this is it. Everything else is all new and, in my new life.
It was all a fraud. In 1998, Belfort was indicted on federal charges of securities fraud and money laundering. He admits he knew the whole time that much of what he was doing was illegal, pumping up the value of stocks and concealing the profits. He ultimately cooperated with the FBI, as seen in this surveillance tape,
I have this money, people, man. I want to get it offshore.
to help build criminal cases against others. A judge ordered Belfort to pay back $110 million owed to victims, with half of his income going toward that amount.
He was a crook.
He served 22 months at this California prison. He got out in 2005, relocating here to this pristine beachfront community of Manhattan Beach, just south of Los Angeles. Now, he says he's off drugs, and he's had a lot of time to reflect.
Why do I smile when I talk about the old days? I don't smile because I'm proud of it. I smile because I'm embarrassed about it.
What do you have to say to all the victims?
Just that, I'm sorry for what happened, and I wish it wouldn't have happened.
Do you think people trust that you're telling the truth when you say that?
Everyone thinks I have tens of millions of dollars hidden all over the world, and I don't.
Why should anyone trust you? You've lied for years and years.
I can't make people trust me.
Why should they?
Because of how I live my life today.
Today, he says he lives a modest life, still with a spectacular ocean view where he rents this duplex. He's an author, writing about his life as the Wolf of Wall Street.
Astonish me, pal.
He no longer identifies with fictional characters like Gordon Gekko
Just get it.
and Sonny Crockett. Instead, he's cast himself in a much different role, the one Tom Cruise played in the movie Jerry Maguire, a sports agent redeemed after a career collapse.
I'm back.
Since getting out of prison, Belfort says he's paid back a little more than $1 million of what he owes to victims. Another $12 million was paid before he was locked up.
And you were called the Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall Street, among other things. But that was the one that it was, the original Wolf of Wall Street was Thurston Howell III from Gilligan's Island. That was his nickname, so it was like a funny nickname, the Wolf, and,
And what do you now?
just Jordan Belfort.
What did you find out about this Jordan Belfort?
Well, we did talk to the FBI agent who investigated the case for 8 years, and he says that his story is true. I mean, he did live this lavish, extravagant lifestyle until, of course, it all came crashing down.
He said I was a crook.
I was a crook. He admits it.
Wow, almost Nixonian in the way he said it. You know what's interesting about these hedge funders, these whiz kids, as some people call them, created these private equity firms. In some cases, they were taxed only 15% on capital gains, if you can believe that, as opposed to the 35% that others are. And Warren Buffett, that old fuddy-duddy, as some might call him, he said, and I have the quote here, he said, this situation that they've set up, he said this while we were right in the middle of this, he called it weapons of financial mass destruction. Of course, nobody listened to him. Does it make you mad?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, for me, being someone from a student perspective, coming into the industry of financial services.
You want to be like these guys?
Honestly, I don't want to be like them. I want to learn how to make the change in going forward. I believe that it is necessary, some aspects of the financial.
How would you be different?
I believe I would be different because I would learn how to apply these different tactics that people have failed at and learn how to move around them and maneuver them by learning and networking with the right people. You can see the type of attitudes from a daily basis on Wall Street.
Is it the system, Magda, or is it the person?
I'm not sure about the system or the person, but I just don't want this to happen again. What's happening in real estate right now, in 20 years, I don't want to go back this again. We have to make it good.
It's an interesting point that you raise, because we're going to